Hello, it's Mundo Monday. We are always talking about the importance of sharing our stories, our unique experiences, so that we can celebrate and understand the ways that we are different and the same. Often we talk about what makes us different on the outside, but today we're going to talk about brains that are different. What we call neurodivergent. Books help us hear the stories of people we might not get a chance to meet in person, but for this topic, let's go straight to Miss Amy because this is her story to share. Today is National Attention Deficit Disorder, or ADHD Awareness Day, which is a bunch of serious professional sounding words, but they're words describing something I have. Basically, it means my brain is out of control. It's constantly running all over the place, and even I have trouble catching it. I'm really smart, and I know a lot of different stuff, but often I do silly things that seem stupid, like not being able to find the thing that I'm actually holding, or I forget what I'm doing in the middle of doing it. I always lose track of time. I'll switch what I'm doing in the middle of doing something else and then I'll never finish the first thing. People will tell me, well, why don't you just focus? But I can't. That is a thing my brain cannot do unless it's really interested in whatever it is I'm focusing on. Many people with ADHD also have trouble controlling their mouths and bodies. They talk a lot and they're always moving. They're physically hyperactive, and it's noticeable to other people. Since only my brain is hyperactive and you can't see that, no one ever told me I had ADHD until I was grown up. So when I was a kid, all I knew was that I was weird. There was something about me that just wasn't like other kids. And the other kids would ask me, well, why can't I just be normal? And I'd ask myself that too. Why can't I just be normal? But I didn't have a choice. My brain just works differently than most people's. I still have trouble with my too fast brain, forgetting things. I forgot to say who wrote Natsumi. Hold on a minute, and getting lost in the middle of talking. What was I talking about? But it also gives me creative ideas for storytelling and makes me really good at making connections between books, which makes it easier for me to find the perfect book for you when you come to the library. My brain is different, and sometimes that's hard, but sometimes it's a lot of fun. I'm going to read a story about a girl who's like me and different. She is the kind of person with ADHD who is hyperactive on the outside as well as on the inside. In this story, you'll also see her exploring her Japanese heritage and trying to make her hyperactivity fit in with it. That's what grown-ups call intersectionality. Her name is Natsumi! With an exclamation point. Because everything she does is full of excitement, like an exclamation point. So let's read about Natsumi! By Susan Lendroth, illustrated by Priscilla Burris. For a small girl, Natsumi did everything in a big way. She jumped high, played hard, and slurped noodles like a sumo wrestler. But not so fast, Natsumi, scolded grandmother when they went to the park. Not so hard, Natsumi, warned father when she practiced her ninja moves. Not so loud, Natsumi, called mother every time her daughter shut the door. Only grandfather smiled and said nothing. Each year, Natsumi's village held a festival of traditional Japanese arts, and her family spent weeks practicing for it. Natsumi wanted to try everything. First, she gathered flowers with grandmother, who carefully selected each bloom. Natsumi picked everything. Let's shake out any bugs, said Grandmother. Tap, tap, tap. She gently rapped the stems against her cupped palm. Like this. Slap, slap, slap! Natsumi whipped her bouquet into a cloud of pollen, leaves, and ants. What? So fast? Natsumi! Sneezed Grandmother. In the afternoon, Father asked, would you like to help me with the tea ceremony? Yes! Natsumi cried, plopping down beside him. Father measured powdered tea into a bowl, poured hot water, and carefully whisked the mixture into froth, the color of spring grass. Then he added tea and water to the second bowl and handed Natsumi the whisk. She stirred, she beat, and she whirled her tea into a cyclone. The father wiped green flecks from his glasses. Not so hard, Natsumi, he said. Later, Natsumi joined Mother at dance rehearsal. Girls and women dipped and turned, flicking their fans open and shut like butterflies. Natsumi flicked her fan open, then shut. Open, shut, click. The harder she flicked, the louder it snapped. Whisk, click, whisk, click. She was a samurai leading her troops into battle with her mighty war fan. Natsumi flung her arms wide. Yeah! Launched like a rocket, the fan twirled across the room and bounced off Mrs. Tanaka's knee. So loud, Natsumi whispered Mother. That evening, Grandfather found her slumped outside. Come, walk with me, Natsumi-chan, said Grandfather. No matter what I do, something always goes wrong, said Natsumi. I'm sure you'll find the right fit if you keep looking and listening, replied Grandfather. They strolled toward the village hall, but suddenly heard a sound like muffled thunder. Boom! Boom, boom, boom! The very air seemed to quiver. Come on, Grandfather, Natsumi urged. For the next 2 weeks, Grandfather met Natsumi after school every day and brought her home late each afternoon. When Mother asked where they'd been, Natsumi replied, It's a surprise. On festival day, Grandmother's flowers brightened the stage, Father served tea to the mayor, and Mother danced. When the rest of the family sat down for the closing ceremony, Grandfather and Natsumi disappeared into the crowd. Thank you for joining our celebration, said the mayor. Now we have one final performance, the beginning of a new tradition for our village, our own Taiko drummers. Boom! Drumbeat shook the eaves. Boom! Grandmother felt her sandals vibrate. Boom! 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 Look! Father pointed at the smallest drummer on the stage. Natsumi! Boom! 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 Boom, boom, boom. With each beat, Natsumi's sticks flew faster. With each boom, she pounded harder. And one day, Natsumi hoped to be the loudest drummer of them all. The end. Okay, let's calm down. Calm down? What does that mean? There are more ways to be neurodivergent than just having a hyperactive brain. Some people's brains work more slowly than others instead. Sometimes a person's brain has trouble doing one particular task, like reading or spelling or speaking or controlling their body. Sometimes a brain is obsessed with keeping things in order or keeping things clean. Sometimes people see sounds and taste colors. This is a great book about that. For people with autism or an autistic spectrum disorder, their brains have trouble interpreting body language or making sense of what other people do and how they interact. Because of this, for a long time, many doctors thought autistic people didn't want or even couldn't make friends with others. This is not true, as the boy in our next book will show us. Henry does want to make a friend. It will just take some trials and errors and patience to get there. A Friend for Henry by Jenn Bailey, illustrated by Mika Song. In classroom 6, second left down the hall, Henry was looking for a friend. Couldn't be Gilly, circled her fishbowl. She's quiet, thought Henry, but she can't play on the swings. It couldn't be Mrs. Magoon, who knew about hugs. She shares, thought Henry, but she has to. Could it be someone else in classroom 6? In art class, Vivian shared Henry's double easel. Vivian was a kaleidoscope, tangle of colors. She had ribbons and clackety shoes. She knew every pony song, and her fingernails were painted like rainbows. When I get paint on my fingers, Henry said, I wash it off. Vivian waved her hands too close to Henry's face. My mommy painted them. Aren't they pretty? Painting on people is against the rules, said Henry. Did your mommy get in trouble? No. Henry lowered his voice. Did you get angry? Why should I? But Vivian was very angry later. He ruined them! She likes rainbows, Henry explained. And he thought, a friend would say thank you. Reading time was Henry's favorite. My friend will like it too, he thought. It was Henry's turn to put out the carpet squares. He tucked the blue ones next to the brown ones, green in the very middle. All the edges met and the corners fit perfectly. Reading time, shouted Samuel. My favorite! Samuel was a thunderstorm, booming and crashing. It was kind of scary if you didn't have your blanket. He could pick up crayons with his toes and do proper somersaults. Henry stepped in front of Samuel. Somersaults are hard. Samuel dodged past. I want a green one! I think Samuel might have a little bit of that hyperactivity too. Wait. Henry's throat felt tight. They're perfect. Mine's a magic carpet from a genie's lamp, said Samuel. It's not. Henry's face was hot. It's from Rug World. There's the sticker. Up, up and away, magic carpet! Booming and crashing, Henry's fingers curled close. A friend listens! Henry, Mrs. Magoon knelt in front of him. Sit with me, please. Henry did, but he couldn't see the pictures, and his carpet square was brown. During snack time, Jaden took 3 crackers instead of 2. At recess, Riley dug up worms and let them use the swings. At free time, Henry's hope for a friend felt small. He watched the sunlight play along Gilly's scales. He watched Gilly for a long time. Katie watched, too. Katie smelled like strawberry milk. She read storybooks all by herself. She slid down the big slide, sometimes backwards. The big slide is too big, said Henry. Gilly floated past. She's shimmery, said Katie. But she doesn't blink, said Henry. What does she do? She burps pebbles, Henry thought, and breathes underwater, and turns sunshine into colors. Henry hunched in his sweatshirt. Fish things? Katie bent to have a closer look. I like her. Henry tried not to blink. Want to play blocks? Sure. I don't like triangles, said Henry. I don't like broccoli, said Katie. Together they built a tower. It had rectangles, cylinders, and squares, but no triangles. Or broccoli. It's perfect, said Henry. Thank you, said Katie. next day, they played on the swings, and Katie went down the big slide. Henry waited at the bottom for his friend. Henry's brain has a hard time dealing with noise, with messes, with unclear rules, even with triangles. But it's very good at making observations, like what goldfish do, and putting things together like carpet squares and block towers. He's also good at being a friend, once he found someone his brain could feel comfortable with. And Katie is good at being a friend too. She doesn't pressure him to go down the big slide with her, or to be anything other than what he is. She understands that even though Henry's brain works a little differently than hers does, there are many things they have in common. It just takes a little patience and acceptance. Isn't it nice that there are so many different kinds of brains in the world? Every unique brain has its own unique way of seeing and thinking about the world. And that means more unique stories to hear and to share. Keep sharing your stories.